How is it going, everyone? I am the Yu-Gi-Oh! Scrub, but you all can call me Bailey, and 644 of you have subscribed as of the recording of this video. My goal is 1,000 by the end of 2025. If you feel like I've earned your subscription, consider hitting the button. If I have not earned it yet, well then, let me know how I can earn it. I'm back to the old school RuneScape music. I've been running into some copyright issues with the other music I was using, which is unfortunate because I am now a YouTube partner. One, don't want copyright strikes, but also consider hitting a membership if you guys ever want some members-only videos. I will be doing those in the future, but literally just got the memberships as an option, so we'll get to that point in the future. But today I'm playing a deck that I felt like playing. Cub Games did a video not too long ago. Awesome channel, go check it out. Another GOAT format channel. KUBHB. Always get it wrong, it's not BH. KUHB Games. But he was playing and saying that Return from the Different Dimension is an underrated trap card, and I absolutely agree. This card is absolutely broken and banned for a reason in modern format, but in GOAT format, it's at 3. We're not going to run it at 3 because that's a little bit too much. We're running it at 2, but we're going to talk about how I think it can be used in Earth aggro. So, of course, Earth aggro, we're going to run triple Goblin Attack Force. I'm running double Berserk Gorilla just because it's another really good beefy 2,000 attacker. Can't get over Gravekeeper Spy, unfortunately, but it's a pretty good Earth monster to be using. And then one Bazoo the Soul Eater. I think this is good. It's the biggest beater of Goblin Attack Force and Berserk Gorilla. These are like your main beaters of the deck. Every card's kind of a beater, they have pretty high attack, but these are just like big monsters. Bazoo can get to be the highest attack of them all, but you need to be banishing 3 monsters from the graveyard, so it also serves the purpose of fueling the Return from the Different Dimension. We're running triple DD Assailant because it's an Earth aggro deck, and DD Assailant is just a good 1-for-1 card if it gets run over by battle. Sometimes forces your opponent to do something like banish it with a Chaos Sorcerer, which is also fine, but it's just a pretty good card, Earth monster, so if it does go to grave, you can banish it. It's a good card. 1 DD Warrior Lady, and then triple Gigantes and 2 Rock Spear. These cards, most of you probably know what they do, but they are the banish a monster from your graveyard to special summon. They cannot be normal summoned or set, but you banish an Earth from your graveyard, special summon them, and they just, free special summons, big beaters, what they do. Also, because they're banishing to special summon themselves, that is good for your Return from the Different Dimension. Exile Force, Mystic Swordsman level 2, and Injection Fairy Lily, and Breaker round out the monster core. Running the Trinity, Heavy Storm, MST, Premature Burial, Snatch Steal, double Nobleman, double Reinforcement of the Army. Triple Solemn Judgment, just so we can make sure our plays go through, and because it's just paying half your life points, it will never be dead. Same thing with the Return from the Different Dimension, unlike the Dimension Fusion, which has to pay 2,000. And then I like the double Dust Tornadoes in this deck. One, that's already good in Earth aggro, running 2 Dust Tornadoes, kind of like a warrior deck, but it also allows you to protect your Return from the Different Dimension, so maybe you set Dust Tornado or 2, end phase, use Dust Tornado, and then you can set Return, because Dust Tornado does have the secondary effect that you can set 1 spell or trap from your hand. So it allows you to not risk it getting Heavy Stormed, and then you Dust Tornado something, and then you use the effect to set the Return from your hand, and then next turn, because it's now been set for a turn, you can activate the trap card, because Return you want to be using preferably on your turn to push for game. Yeah, there you go. That is the main deck. Side deck, King Tiger Wanghu, Cypher Soldier, more Earth monsters, couple skill drains. It works pretty well in this deck. Sakuretsu, Mind Controls, you know how it goes. Trap Dust Shoot if we're going up against like a Chaos deck and we're going first. Let's go ahead though and join the GOAT format ladder as we do in these videos. Let's click this button for your viewing pleasure. And let's wish you a fantastic day. If you are not having a fantastic day, we'll go and make it a fantastic day, and then you can come back and finish this video for me. And then you can finish all my other videos. You can just go one after another, after another, after another, and if you've seen them before, watch them again. I don't know. Alright, opening hand, of course, looks pretty good. We won the rock, paper, scissors. We will be going first. We're going to start with Delinquent Duo. Opening hand is Duo, Charity, Gigantes, DD Assailant, Reinforcement of the Army, Berserk Gorilla. So always starting with the Delinquent Duo first. Give our opponent the least amount of information possible. They discard a Light and a Dark. I hit the Dekoichi. They discard Shining Angel. We will then... Do we summon... We will summon DD Assailant. He's giving me the thumbs up. Sometimes it takes a second to think. We're not going to go too hard. I don't want to reinforce some of the army quite yet. Maybe we want to Exiled Force a face down next turn, or a Mystic Swordsman level 2. I don't want to waste my search for a monster that we don't know what we should summon yet. I think DD Assailant is pretty defensive. He does set a monster and a back row. we get Solemn Judgment. Main phase 1, after standby. Let us go ahead. We will activate the Graceful Charity. Drawing Breaker. Return from the Different Dimension and DD Assailant. We'll discard one DD Assailant, and I think Berserk Gorilla. We have a few options here for plays. We can Rhoda and get a Mystic Swordsman level 2 or an Exiled Force. Probably Exiled Force, but we're then risking that is a Torrential Tribute. We could summon the Breaker and pop that, and then try to get a plus with the... It's definitely not a Magician of Faith. We're going to go with the Breaker, because if it was a Faith, he doesn't have any spells, and Faith is the most powerful flip. So we're going to go ahead and try to pop that back row. It was a Solemn Judgment, okay. And if it's a Spy... It was a Spy, okay, so I'm willing to eat the 100 extra damage I take from attacking with the Breaker to potentially hit 100 more damage. So unfortunate that it was a Spy, but we will go ahead now and I think just end our turn. Potentially could have set the Solemn. Next turn we can Rhoda, get a Goblin Attack Force. He tributes for Zaborg, popping our DD Assailant. So setting Solemn might have been better there. We'll eat 800 plus 1200. Then we get Berserk Gorilla. We will activate Reinforcement of the Army, getting ourselves DD Assailant, because we can summon the DD Assailant, attack over this Gravekeeper Spy, he will take 500 damage, and we'll set the Solemn Judgment. Not going to summon the Gigantes because we don't want to give him a monster to attack over. Also, we don't want Gigantes' effect to go off because it's a mandatory Heavy Storm. Can be really good, but not when we are the only... we're going to Solemn. Risking that he has a Chaos Sorcerer, but I think that Graceful Charity getting Solemn Judgmented there is effective. And what am I doing? It gets banished, doesn't go to grave. Okay. He sets 2 back row. We draw Goblin Attack Force. Let's go ahead and banish DD Assailant for Gigantes. We will then, after getting Torrential Tributed, summon Berserk Gorilla. And attack for 2000. We'll set the Return from the Different Dimension and end our turn. So he has 2 cards to 2 cards, and unfortunately he draws Zombira of the Dark. Can hit us for 100, but it will go down to 1900. And he has a return from his different dimension of his own, paying half of his life points. And we will activate our own return because we have to. But it can special summon in defense position and banish these in the end phase. We draw Rhoda. We'll summon Goblin Attack Force and attack over the Zombire of the Dark. And end our turn. Pretty low on life points, but so is my opponent. We draw the Rock Spirit. We know Mirror Force is gone. We'll banish a Berserk Gorilla. Special summon the Rock Spirit. And we'll Rhoda. Getting ourselves another Goblin Attack Force. And we'll see if we can attack for game. It's a return from the different dimension of his own. So we're each playing a return deck. Very interesting. Funny how a card that I was talking about is often underrated is now being used a lot. So end phase, Zaborg will get banished. And we clearly have the board presence here. Rock Spirit will go to 2,000 attack in his battle phase. So, and he's already used Spies. We draw Ring of Destruction. Swap the other Goblin Attack Force to attack. Banish, and we'll attack for game. Okay. So, Mind Control and Dust Shoot seem okay here. Dust Tornado seems fine. Swordsman's pretty good, and Fairy Lily is pretty good. Berserk Gorilla doesn't seem to be the best. Maybe take out Dust Shoots because we're going to be going second. Maybe one Rock Spirit. I'm considering putting the Rock Spirit in for a duo, but obviously not now. I think this was a pretty smart side decking. I feel like we have a pretty solid matchup. Opening hand is Solemn Judgment, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, Attack Force, DD Assailant. Opponent sets a back row, sets 2 back row, sets 3 back row, and ends his turn. Go to standby. We will start by summoning Goblin Attack Force. And if we can go to battle, we'll try to attack. He eats 2,300. And we'll set Mirror Force and Solemn Judgment. I'll let this breaker go through. He did very quickly just target. I suppose it's fine. We draw another Solemn Judgment, so I'm feeling okay about that. Summon DD Assailant. It's pretty laggy. Attack over the breaker. We do get that attack off. We'll set the other Judgment, but no Torrential yet. He MSTs, hitting a Judgment. And he sets a monster. We draw Gigantes. We will mind control this monster. I hope he judgments, and I'll judgment his judgment. It was a Dekoichi. We'll flip some of the Dekoichi. getting a DD Warrior Lady draw. We will banish the Goblin Attack Force for Gigantes. And let us Solemn Judgment. Okay, so he also opened up with Mirror Force Torrential. But I'm fine with that. We'll set our own Torrential, end our turn. So, both his sweepers are gone. We have ours. Well, one of ours. And we draw Bazoo the Soul Eater. I think the play here is going to be summon Bazoo, declare with Cryo, and banish both these monsters, giving us 600 attack, so we're 2200 Bazoo, and we'll try to attack. Keeping DD Warrior Lady in our hand because it's a little bit better removal. We draw another Gigantes. This is now back to 1600. Knowing that his Mirror Force is gone. Think if effect. So he's obviously going to get a spy from his Gravekeeper Spy. Do I want to? Yeah, we will banish a spy because we have Torrential, so they either both go to the graveyard, because likely that's how we're going to be clearing the spies. Tributing for Jinzo would be the worst for me. Tributing for Zaborg would be the best. Or just not tributing at all. Nope, he just goes to end phase. We draw Solemn Judgment. We'll set the Solemn and end our turn. No monsters engraved, so we can't fuel the Bazoo. He's got 2 darks. But I don't hate the position we're in. We draw Return from the Different Dimension. We will set the return and end because I think next turn we'll be able to use return, summon DD Warrior Lady and our other monsters. Use DD Warrior Lady, attack into the spy. Get the spy banished and then attack for game with all of our other monsters, knowing that his sweepers are gone. He sets a couple of back row and ends. We'll set the Dust Tornado and end our turn. Judgment can potentially hit the Jinzo. We draw Delinquent Duo. Think. He's giving me the thumbs up. I know it's okay. I'm just letting him know I'm thinking. Okay. If we return, do we push for game? We have Gigantes and 2 Goblin Attack Forces and a DD Warrior Lady. I'm gonna go for it. Let's go to battle. Attack this face down monster. It was a Shining Angel. He gets his own DD Warrior Lady. Let us go ahead And we'll Dust Tornado that back row. It was a Solemn Judgment. We will then activate Return. Summoning, okay, it was a DD Assailant. We will activate Judgment on his Threatening Roar, and he has a Judgment for our Judgment. Okay. Unfortunately, that has to just be fine, of course. So Threatening Roar will go through main phase 2 because we can't attack. And although I wish I could find a way to put some of these in the graveyard, it'll just become set Delinquent Duo and end phase. All of these cards will get banished. So, nice play by him. Good use of Threatening Roar. And now, his best play would just be attack DD Warrior, switch Gravekeeper Spy to attack, and he'll have game. But if he summons, we can Torrential Tribute. We set the Delinquent Duo, so there's Torrential Tribute option right there. He might have the Chaos Monster coming, because it does put lights in his grave. Okay, so he goes to battle, activates his own Return for the Different Dimension. And that's going to be game, unfortunately. Okay, so he got game 2. Gravekeeper's Spy is frustrating, but I think we still have enough ways to play around it. I don't think we need to bring in anything else. That was a solid game 2. Okay, opening hand for game 3. Mind Control, Dust Tornado, DD Assailant, Goblin Attack Force, Bazoo, Premature Burial. So we'll start by summoning DD Assailant, and we'll set Dust Tornado. Just take the little bit of back row destruction. He sets a few back row, 3 back row. We'll hit a back row with our Dust Tornado. And he, activates the Book of Moon. I don't know why he quit. Of course, you can't activate the Book of Moon, even though it's a spell card. If you set a quick play spell, most of you probably know, but if you set a quick play spell, it's acting like a trap and you can't use it in the same turn. But even if he just, sends it to the graveyard, say he set the DD Assailant, I suppose the only thing would be if there's a Torrential Tribute, but I would just flip it next turn. But obviously he can't use it, I don't know. I'll view this replay. Not right now, but I'll view it later, see what he had. But let's just go ahead and find another match, because we're only 23 minutes in. Liking how this deck is playing so far. I think the Return for the Different Dimension is pretty good, and we saw it in my opponent's more traditional Chaos deck as well. Now, with regular Chaos, I suppose Chaos Turbo can probably use it, but I feel like the problem with Return in a regular Chaos deck is you're summoning, Dacoichis and Spies, just not really powerful monsters, maybe a Thunder Dragon or 2, which is 1600. I like it in this deck more because you're getting 1 removal, because you can get a DD Assailant. You can also get bigger monsters like Goblin Attack Force, so I feel like it's easier to push for game with it. Of course, he used it, but really, he got a Spy, and it just so happened that because I keep paying half my life points, I was at 1,000. Opening hand is Double Assailant, Gigantes, Nobleman, Return, Solemn Judgment. We will summon DD Assailant, and I think just end our turn there. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I like the DD Assailants. I think it's a pretty good card. Not as good as DD Warrior Lady, because it can't get rid of defense position monsters. But it just forces your opponent to play a certain way, depending on their deck. But you want to almost just use like a vanilla to beat over it. You know, it feels really bad using like a Chaos Sorcerer and then you attack over a set DD Assailant or something and then just lose your Chaos Sorc. The best is like a Blade Knight, like random, just big monsters, a Berserk Gorilla. But even then, like sometimes you summon your Berserk Gorilla and like you want to make sure it stays on the field, and then I just have a DD Assailant and you lose your monster for no reason. 1700 is nothing to scoff at. It's not the biggest monster, but by no means is it weak. So he discards Thunder Dragon, so he's playing likely a traditional Chaos deck. Though, I have played Thunder Dragon in some weird last turn turbo FTK decks, because I like the deck thinning. So he summons Tribe Infecting Virus, and yeah, I figured you were calling Warrior. Discarding a Thunder Dragon that he just got as a plus. And we will take 1600 damage from the attack from Tribe Infecting Virus. So he has 1 Thunder Dragon in hand and 4 unknown cards, 2 of which are back row. So he has Trap Dust Shoot. Doesn't really matter exactly what he takes here. Because no matter what, we will be able to get over this Tribe Infecting Virus with either one of these monsters. It is unfortunate, though, that he sees the return, Torrential, and Solemn. But that's the power of Trap Dust Shoot. He does pick the DD Assailant. Shuffle our deck up. We will banish the DD Assailant for Gigantes, and we'll try to attack. So he has a Book of Moon. Apologies for my phone being right there. Okay, and very unfortunate because we can't set any of our back row because Gigantes will just destroy it when it gets attacked over for battle. So we just have to wait a turn. But he can't set a monster. I mean, he can, but it's going to get Noblemaned. He could summon, and he just goes straight to battle. So Gigantes will get run over. Again, we know one of the cards in hand is Thunder Dragon. And 1 back row now. Alright. So now that we have we'll set all of our back row, except for the Nobleman. Protect us from a Delinquent Duo, potentially. Going to main phase is fine. He only has 2 lights in his graveyard, no darks. He goes to battle. We'll take 1600, because our cards require half of our life points. And you can always pay half. Here's our own Delinquent Duo. So let's activate it. We got a Premature Burial hit and the last Thunder Dragon. I'm gonna go one more turn. He doesn't want to summon a monster because he knows we have Torrential. And again, because we can just pay half our life points, I don't feel like we need to use the return from the different dimension here. I'm hoping we just draw a monster. If we draw like Berserk Gorilla would be the best. I'll take the Rock Spirit. It's actually even better because we do get to banish the set, not the set, the Gigantes. We banish the set Magician of Faith with Nobleman across out. So we will banish Gigantes for the Rock Spirit. And we will try to attack over this tribe-infecting virus. This is also significantly better than getting Gigantes, because we don't have to worry about our back row. So he takes 100 damage. Tribe-infecting virus should go to grave. Yeah, so Call the Haunted brings back. Do we want to use... So yeah, Tribe goes to grave. And I suppose we'll just end our turn. Thinking. So if he wants to bring that back, yeah, we're gonna Judgment. We'll put him on 2 cards. We have 2 returns and a Torrential Tribute. He gets a Snatch Steal. We get the Rock Spirit taken away from us. We will activate a return. Special summoning both of these monsters. And Gigantes doesn't, like, you know, it's an attack position, and this only gets the 300 during my battle phase. So if he chooses to attack over something, which he doesn't, these will get banished in the end phase. We'll gain 1,000 life points. I think we have to go to battle, activate the return. Alright, he has a Solemn Judgment. So he'll pay a bunch of life points of his own. Which he has to pay. So 3950 to our 775. We set the Premature Burial. And if he's smart, he'll just go straight to battle phase. But maybe he'll put a monster on the board. Nope. And yeah, we can't do anything. Okay, so he gets game 1. Mind Control seems okay. We didn't see many flips, but I saw the Magician of Faith. And that's enough for me to be a little afraid. I'll take out the Fairy Lily, but it can get over a BLS potentially. Take out one Rock Spirit. I think that's kind of the play, like one Rock Spirit, one Berserk Gorilla. We didn't see Scapegoats or anything, so I don't feel like I need the Wong-Hoos. We'll go in with this. The problem with the Fairy Lily is similar to Dimension Fusion, and it maybe isn't worth playing it in this deck, is because you need 2,000 life points to pay for the Fairy Lily, and we just don't have that many life points because we're constantly paying half. But we have a pretty good opening hand. We got Duo and Graceful Charity, like we did that other game. So we'll start with Duo, and we also have DD Assailant, Mind Control, Goblin Attack Force, and MST. So we start with a Delinquent Duo, hitting the BLS out of his hand. Fantastic snag. And Book of Moon. We will then activate Graceful Charity, drawing Mystic Swordsman level 2, DD Assailant, and Exiled Force. Discard one DD Assailant and Mind Control. Then we'll summon the other DD Assailant and we'll set MST. The thought process here being discarding Mind Control, and maybe we should have actually kept it discarding like the Mystic Swordsman level 2, because then we don't need to use our normal summon. But my thought was that we have Exile Force and Mystic Swordsman level 2 as ways to get rid of pesky face-down monsters. But maybe the better play would have been discard Mystic Swordsman level 2 and then keep Mind Control, because I say he does go ahead and set a Magician of Faith or a Dakoichi or something here. I think Mind Control would be slightly better than either of these. So we will MST the Snatch Steal. This is the worst card in the game to get Snatch stolen, because it's basically a plus for your opponent. Okay, so Trap Dust Shoot. I don't know what he's going to take here. He could take the Goblin Attack Force just to protect his life points. But both Exiled Force and Mystic Swordsman level 2 are good cards. He takes the Exiled Force. So, Exiled Force goes to the deck. And we will attack for a bunch of life points. 4,000 to be exact. We'll shuffle. I think I shuffle, but just to make sure. And we'll set nothing. We have good defense. Goblin Attack Force he kind of needs to get rid of. But DD Assailant means whatever he summons to potentially get over the Goblin Attack Force is going to get run over, likely by the DD Assailant. Like Breaker the Magical Warrior, Tsukiyomi. Okay. So maybe a Nobleman a Crossout? We get Premature Burial. We'll flip the DD Assailant. And I think we're going to Premature Burial. It's basically Mirror Force or bust. Okay, so he hits that with an MST, gets rid of our Goblin Attack Force. We'll set Return. He knows what it is, but that's fine by me. He can't set the Tsukiyomi, because we can get rid of it with Mystic Swordsman level 2. So he does set a back row and a monster. We draw another DD Assailant. We'll summon the Mystic Swordsman level 2. And try to attack. And now attack with the DD Assailant. He Ring of Destructions the DD Assailant. And unfortunately, we can't use Return for game. But he's at dangerously low life points right now, being 600. He can't use a flip monster. I mean, I suppose he can. But, yeah, so that's game. I was gonna say, like, maybe he has a random Magician of Faith or something. Interesting. I do think I'm actually gonna bring in some Wong Hoos. Maybe over, like, one Berserk Gorilla. I don't know. Maybe one Return. And the Injection Fair Lily. Because I'm seeing a decent amount, like Tsukiyomi tells me like maybe he's playing Scapegoats. I feel like I would have seen it already, but that's going to be really, really frustrating if he has Scapegoats and I just haven't seen them, but then I get smacked with them. And most of our monsters are pretty big. Skill Drain is okay with the Goblin attack forces, but not very good with the DD monsters. The DD monsters have to be, like, their effects activate on the field, not in graveyard. It's not that they get destroyed, go to grave, then banish. Sometimes I feel like I'm just saying stuff that most of you probably know, and I'd say the vast majority, but I also think that there are a lot of people who aren't super familiar with GOAT, or just sometimes need the rulings kind of set again. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a hard game, especially when it's 20 years old, in terms of, like, this is literally a 20-year-old format. So sometimes things that work a certain way now just don't work that way back then. Opponent activated Thunder Dragon, getting 2 Thunder Dragons, and then sets a back row. Our opening hand is DD Warrior Lady and DD Assailant, Ring of Destruction, Nobleman Across Out, MST. And we draw Bazoo the Soul Eater. We will MST the Ring of Destruction, so we'll show our hand. I'm fine. He can take either one of these monsters. Like, both DD monsters in this matchup basically do the same thing. I suppose the DD Warrior Lady is slightly better, because if he has a set Sangan or something, then I can banish it with the DD Warrior Lady. But in reality, it's likely just that both of them get run over, especially now that the Ring of Destruction is gone. They both have 1600 defense, so they can't get run over by a Tsukiyomi. He does take the DD Warrior Lady, which is probably the correct pick there. We'll summon DD Assailant and just attack for 1700. And of course, we're going to set the Ring of Destruction. Both we have to worry about Delinquent Duo and Heavy Storm equally. So I'm going to keep the Nobleman Across Out in hand, because if it gets Delinquent Duo'd, it gets Duo'd, but if I set it and it got Stormed, then no matter what, it's a -1. Prio. I mean, we will Ring of Destruction. I'll say I probably should have waited. We take 100 more. Or not take 100, we gain 100. It's only 16. I did ask Prio. I mean, he already had activated the effect, and he did discard the Thunder Dragon. We draw Berserk Gorilla. Ooh, ooh, ah, ah, Gorilla go burr. Attack for 2000 with the Berserk Gorilla. And now we'll set the Nobleman Across Out, just to protect ourselves a little bit from a Delinquent Duo. Though I don't know if Duo would be the best play. But maybe he's already forgotten what we had done. We draw Premature Burial. I'm not going to risk anything. We'll attack. And And we'll end our turn because now we don't have to worry about Delinquent Duo because he's under 1,000 life points. He has Pot of Greed. That's fine. But no Premature Burial. No Delinquent Duo, so likely 2 cards in his deck are dead. If he sets a monster, it's going to get Nobleman Across outed. So it's not that they're dead cards, but in a sense, they're dead cards right now. Opponent's typing a lot. Now I'm curious. Do you think he's salty, or do you think he's just typing something lovely? Is he saying, I'm such a huge fan, your videos provide me the life essence that I need on a daily basis? He hasn't said anything. Maybe he was just putting a note in. Nope. We draw another Nobleman Across out. And I do feel comfortable because we have the Premature Burial. We can risk going into a Torrential Tribute here. But if it's a Sakuretsu Armor, then we win. Okay, so end of main phase. He goes Threatening Roar. And we'll just go to end phase, I suppose. Don't feel like I need to banish the Bazoo, or with the Bazoo. I'd rather keep the DD Assailant in the graveyard for Premature Burial. Heavy Storm takes out my Nobleman Across out, which is fine, so we have another one in hand now. And there's a set monster. He's viewing his grave, makes me think it could be a Gravekeeper's Spy, and he sets one back row and ends. We draw Reinforcement of the Army. So we'll start with Nobleman Across out. Mask of Darkness, I like seeing that, that's pretty cool. Gets rid of one other Mask of Darkness, and we're just going to go for game. He does have the Mirror Force. We will activate Rhoda and get ourselves the DD Assailant. And we'll summon a DD Assailant and end turn. Going for DD Assailant over a Goblin Attack Force or anything else here, because I do believe the DD Assailant is acting as a defensive card. So Metamorphosis gets rid of a Sinister Serpent, though, and he's going to be getting himself 1,000 Eyes Restrict. So he's kind of come back into the game. So he attacks for 1,700 after stealing our DD Assailant. Best play here, we like King Tiger Wang Hu. Dust Tornado. We'll set the Dust Tornado and end our turn. We can take an attack from 1,000 Eyes Restrict. He tributes for YuGiOh, hitting us for 2,400. And we draw Gigantes. So we will go ahead and banish a Berserk Gorilla for Gigantes. Activate Premature Burial for DD Assailant. Run into the YuGiOh, DD Assailant, and yep, we won. Okay, GG's. And he already had left. Unfortunate. I'm curious what that other face down card was, but the plan here was just going to be Dust Tornado, target that, just in case it was, I don't know what it could be, but the fact that he quit tells me it was likely a bluff, maybe a face down Delinquent Duo or something, maybe a Nobleman, a cross out. But that is game. So, I think that it went pretty well for us. I really like this deck. Cards that I might take out would be that Injection Fairy Lily. We didn't see it once, but also without running the Giant Rats. It's a good card. It's an Earth that can get over a big monster, mostly the BLS. Just because BLS is a 3,000 attacker, obviously, and the Fairy Lily is one way to get over it, because we don't have many great ways. I mean, we have Ring of Destruction, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, Snatch Steal, I suppose, setting a DD Assailant or a DD Warrior Lady, but that is likely to then just get banished with his effect. So BLS, fortunately we didn't see it. The other cards would be, I don't know, like Sakuretsu or Smashing Ground in our side deck, but those obviously are in the side deck, so a game 1, it wouldn't really do much. You could probably cut Return to 1. I like it at 2 because it is a return deck, and I do think it came up a decent amount that we had 2 of them. But other than that, I think it's a pretty solid deck. I really like the idea, and I think Return, like Cub said in his video, is one of the most underrated traps in GOAT format. Highly recommend experimenting with it. I think that using the traditional Return with Bazoo is fine. I think this might be the best shell to put Return in, because I just think that summoning, like I said, the really big monsters is incredibly important, because like all it takes is a Goblin attack force and a Gigantes, and you can swing for over 4,000 damage. And sometimes maybe your opponents used a Judgment. Maybe they tried a Judgment your Return from the different dimension, you Judgment their Judgment, and then you have all the damage you need because you summoned some big monsters back. Also, the DD Assailants, like I said, can act as a removal. Maybe they have a YuGiOh. Well, I guess YuGiOh you couldn't activate the Return. But maybe they have a Chaos Sorcerer or something in attack position, and you can just DD Assailant, bring it back from the Return, attack into it, you know, run over, but then you banish their monster. So the Return, in a way, can act as a removal. Or maybe they're, like it happened in one of my games, where you just have to protect yourself in a battle phase, but you can bring back the DD Assailants, and now your opponent either has to just not attack at all, or they lose their monsters. And so rather than just bring it back and have it solely be defense that stalls, kind of like a Threatening Roar for half your life points, it can act as a little bit more, though oftentimes if your opponent has to look at the DD Assailant and say either just wait and let it get banished in the end phase, or attack over it, they will likely just let it get banished in the end phase. But still, I think it's a really, really interesting deck. I think there's a lot of potential with some optimization in these cards that you can choose. Again, maybe something like a Smashing Ground or 2 over a Injection Fairy Lily, and like maybe one Berserk Gorilla. But I think it worked really, really well. Let me know what you guys think in the in the comments section below. Other than that, I am the YuGiOh Scrub, and goodbye.